Things that make you go, March 1999, Bellevue, Washington. In the 1960s, I experienced the racism of some white suburbanites because, by blood quantum, I was only 86% white. Since then, I've experienced the bigotry of some women and minorities because I'm only 14% American Indian, but 100% male. What separates the enlightened from the benighted, the tolerant conservatives from the intolerant progressives, and the classical liberals from the illiberal leftists is the ability to embrace our shared human nature without losing sight of how things ought to be. Most of us are subject to onerous expectations and unrealistic demands, and have a multitude of excuses for being ticked off at the opposite sex. Unlike the rest of us, however, feminists have simply made a career out of it. Affirmative action pretends to foster fairness by playing favorites. A man who sleeps around is a stud, while a woman who does is a slut. A double standard? Consider the dynamics. A woman who sleeps around is doing what any woman can do simply by passively saying yes, while a man who sleeps around has to work at it. If there's a double standard, it's one created by both sexes. Why does the so-called liberal American media pay so much attention to conditions in places like Bosnia, but so little attention to China, or closer to home, Venezuela? Has the time come for society to value the life of a man as highly as the life of a woman? Breeder couples are generally too young and inexperienced to make good parents. You need grandparents, elder aunts, uncles, and cousins to successfully fill the more important nurturing and caregiving roles and provide appropriate role models, something the extended family can provide or a close-knit neighborhood can emulate. To prevent cancer, it makes more sense statistically to remove a baby girl's breasts than to remove a baby boy's foreskin. Yet I think we will all agree anybody who attempted to promote such a notion would be quickly dismissed, if not dispatched, as a lunatic. So why are most Americans so blasé about amputating the tip of a baby boy's penis? About half of the penis's nerve endings are in the foreskin. Removing the foreskin is equivalent to removing the clitoris, and just as barbaric. If feminists won't believe us when we say most battered and sexually assaulted men don't call the police, why should we believe them when they say most battered and sexually assaulted women don't call the police? When feminists or the media expose misogynistic practices in countries outside the West, never do they remark the good fortune of women in more enlightened places. Instead, they use their examples to attack and shame men in the West. Boys will be boys and girls will be girls. That's one reason why we have culture, so that boys will become men and girls will become women, something feminists readily admit they oppose. An inviolable rule of social intercourse is, as goes one sex, so go both. Since the 1960s, feminists and other advocates of cultural deconstruction have, with much conceit and little regard for whom they hurt, thrown out the rules that turn girls into women. And now they wonder why fewer boys are becoming men. Women who flaunt but don't flirt are bigots. Sexual flaunting has two purposes: to attract or assail, tantalize or taunt, invite or insult, express joy or contempt, heal or harm, accept or reject. The former flows from affinity, the latter from hostility. Hostility toward members of a group in general is bigotry. Either it's okay for everybody to generalize hatred, or it's not okay for anybody to generalize hatred. There are no gray areas.